Hey everyone, this is Car Ray Rob, where I'm Ray.
And I'm Rob, and we want to welcome you to our brand new episode of Say Hello to My Little Film.
Hey there, it'll be just a little while till Ray and Rob spit their spittle. Come on, check out of the hospital. So grab some of your best peanut brittle. This will be a darn good transmittal. And say hello to my little film.
That's right, everybody. We are back with another episode of Say Hello to My Little Film. Rob, before we dive into this episode, can you tell those new listeners what we try to do here?
Absolutely. Here on Say Hello to My Little Film, Ray and I take turns recommending movies to the other that we love in the hopes to getting the other to love them as much as we do.
Yes, we do. We call that our fresh perspective on our retrospective review, and I'm excited. This is your birthday month.
It is. I don't know why you're excited.
It's
actually.
true. Usually you torture me on these. I'm excited just to be here. I love being here.
You know what?
Even when you torture me.
There you go. And you're right. Usually, for our longtime listeners know that this is my birthday month, and usually this is when I hit Ray the hardest.
Yes.
But also, longtime listeners should know that over this course of this whole year, this whole season so far, I have been pushing Ray further and further outside of his comfort zone. And I did finally hit the wall with The Devils.
I responded well a couple months before that. I fell in love with some movies I didn't expect.
Exactly.
But then, The Devils.
And then My Own Private Idaho, which I didn't even mean to. I was even trying to push you.
I know, but, we don't want to just be down the middle. We have to pick a side, so
I know.
I made the tough call saying I wouldn't recommend My Own Private Idaho, but I didn't hate it.
That's true. But because of this journey that I have been on, I have decided to do something completely different this month. And instead of giving the gift to myself, where I torture you a little bit, I am going to give you the gift of giving you a movie that I would be shocked if you didn't like.
I love that for me.
You should. You should love that for you. And also you inspired this pick. I actually had a completely different movie selected, but you changed my mind about what I was going to select this month.
I'm not surprised I inspired you.
That you're an inspiring figure. So one of the movies you showed me recently that I absolutely loved had a performance from an actor that was just absolutely fantastic. And when I realized you had not seen this movie, which is kind of one of his go-to films, I said to myself, I got to show it to Ray. He's got to see it. This is going to be my birthday gift to him, and I'm almost positive he's going to thank me for it.
All right, let's stop beating around the bush, Rob. Tell me what this movie is. Rob, what do you got?
What do you got? What do you got?
All right, Ray, what I got for you is a movie inspired by your last month's selection, Inherit the Wind, which was absolutely fantastic and co-starred the great Gene Kelly.
Yes, it did.
And that was a performance that's just he's not necessarily kind of known for, not that type of performance. What he is known for is being an absolute genius as a song and dance man. So what I have decided is I am bringing you the 1952 musical comedy Singin' in the Rain.
Whoa, that's a classic.
It is the essence of the word classic. Starring Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds, Donald O'Connor. This movie is joy on screen.
You have showed me some classics before that I was always like, everybody loves these movies. I bet I won't love them.
Yeah.
Casablanca.
Yep.
I was dead wrong. That movie was
wrong.
amazing. That movie was a classic for a reason. Am I gonna and I kind of fall in the same boat, I guess, with Singin' in the Rain. I'm like, I guess I don't need to see it. I've seen a clip or two of the best parts.
Everybody sees the clip of him in the rain singing in it by himself, and that's great. It's a fantastic part of the movie, but there are so many epic parts of this movie that it's just absolutely incredible. Debbie Reynolds is magnetic in this movie. For those of you who don't know what Singin' in the Rain is about, it is about three silent film stars who have to transition to the talkies. So it's when, a lot of these big actors that were known for these big roles during the silent film era maybe didn't transition well to talkies because their voice was weird, or just their performances were off, or whatever. There was a lot of reasons why it didn't come to fruition. So that is what this movie kind of revolves around. Don Lockwood is Gene Kelly. He plays one of the big stars of the silent film era, and now they want to put him in a talkie. And his former leading lady maybe she doesn't translate as well. So they kind of have to figure out some
I
ways around
see.
that to make that work. It's a fantastic film. It's a great, a movie about making movies in a
Yeah.
way. We always talk about how much we love those movies, and I think this is actually not in that conversation maybe enough about a movie about making movies, especially from this era. But as I said, the dance numbers are incredible. The music is insane. It's just it is a pinnacle of a classic, and I know I'm building it up probably too much, but I cannot wait for you to see this movie. I love this movie so much.
Well, I really can't wait to see it. I can't believe I've never have, and I
Well,
don't know
yeah.
if I ever would have if you didn't force me in this situation to. Just because it's like, just feels like I already should have and I haven't, so why do it now?
Well, and that's fair. There are those movies that you feel like you kind of seen because of just the parts of it that are in popular culture.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh well, I know this, so I've seen the movie. No, you haven't seen
Right.
the movie.
I really feel like I don't know anything about this movie when you were just describing it. I'm like, I just thought he
That's what
went
this is
down, up
about.
and down the street and sang songs.
Exactly. So that's why we're here to rectify it. That's why Say Hello to My Little Film exists, and I cannot wait to show you this movie.
Well, you don't have to wait. We're going to do it right now. For any of you out there, if you somehow haven't seen Singing in the Rain, or if it's just been a minute, take this opportunity to pause the podcast, go check that movie out, then come back and listen to me and Rob discuss it and see if I love this movie as much as Rob hopes I do.
Ray and Rob are currently watching the film. You may be also watching the film. If you're not, then you're listening to me say that Ray and Rob are watching the film. They'll be right back when they're done watching the film.
All right, everyone, we are back from Singing in the Rain.
Now we're talking in this room.
Now we're talking in this room. We're from
talking
Singing in the
in this room.
Rain to talking in this room.
Pretty easy transition and just as classical, I think.
And less wet.
well, unless you patch up that leak.
Well,
All right.
never going to happen. Never going to happen. I'm too busy talking in this room.
There we go. All right, guys, that's as good as you're going to get pun-wise from us. But let's move on to some things we've seen. Pretty interesting. We've talked about this phenomenon before where you feel like you've seen a lot of the movie, but you never have, because I've never seen this movie.
Right.
But things kept popping up where I'm like, oh, I know this song, or I know this, or I know this bit.
Yeah.
So that was weird. A couple of things like "Good Morning, Good Morning." That song, I know. I feel like I've heard that 100 times. I had no idea it came from this movie.
Yeah, like in commercials and stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you where. I thought I heard it from an original source, but that was not true.
That's not true.
Make 'em laugh with Family Guy.
It
Yeah.
was Family Guy. Quagmire did make
Right.
him laugh
I
in
was
an
like-
episode.
Yeah, so it's just it's funny to get context.
Right. Obviously, Singing in the Rain. If
Obviously,
you've seen A
yes.
Clockwork Orange, you have a very different
Yeah.
maybe idea of that song in your
Yeah.
head. Maybe Alexander from that movie ruined it for you.
Honestly, when I think of Singing in the Rain, I guess this is homage to this movie, but I just remember I don't know, 20 years ago when AFI or something released 100 greatest movies and they did clips from every movie, and
Sure.
I just remember that seeing
fair.
a
Well, yeah,
big
this
chunk
would-
of this scene from that
Definitely.
from that ranking of this movie, because this is a top 100 movie of all time
and
in their
another-
opinion.
Yeah, well, absolutely, in my opinion too. But another thing, if you've ever, I don't know if you remember this, so at the old MGM Studios, even though it's not called that anymore, at Disney, the Great Movie
Yes.
Ride no longer exists. But they had a part when you went through Singing in
Yep,
the Rain.
you're
You
right.
saw Gene Kelly hanging on the lamppost singing
Yes.
while it was raining. I loved that ride so much.
Yes. Were they dumping him with milk?
No, nobody got dumped with milk. That's actually a
What?
totally
No, that I've heard that
nope,
whole scene
it's
has to be done
totally-
with milk, because you can't get rain to show up on
No,
film.
that's a total urban legend. It is not.
Yeah.
They actually achieved it all through backlighting.
Oh man.
I know, no milk. That's
Okay.
a total lie.
Gene Kelly, I've lost some respect for you. I thought you pulled this off while dancing in milk like a Cheerio.
Exactly. Well, let's dive into the movie a little bit, because for me, as everybody knows, This is an absolute classic. As I said, this is a movie that is why movies are made, or because of movies like Singin' in the Rain. And I think this movie does so many amazing things. So let's talk a little bit about the characters, because I think that's one of the great elements of this movie. And for me, I think they kick it off, right off the bat. You start out with this great movie premiere scene, and I love the way that they are able to get Gene Kelly's backstory so quickly, kind of in the mind
and
of
Cosmo's.
the viewer, and Cosmo too,
Yeah.
exactly. But they layer it so well. I want you to. How do you feel about that?
I loved it. I love like the juxtaposition of like what he was saying about his life, and then seeing the opposite on screen. I think that's like it's a really smart, fun way to do it. It like you said, it does a lot of things, because it sets up like who this guy is and the struggles he's gone through to get here.
Right.
But it also kind of sets the tone like comedically. Like this movie's not too serious. Like this is fun. We're starting off. We're having fun. Let's have fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of because he's almost a phony in a way.
Yeah,
like he really
for
kind of
sure.
just fell into this. Like he and Cosmo are really just trying to get somewhere, do something.
Sure.
Ended up on the Monumental Pictures lot, playing mood music, which is a thing back when they had silent pictures, and just he kind of fell into being a stuntman.
Yeah.
And I think that it plays really well later on when he finally meets Kathy Selden, because Kathy kind of rebuffs him in that way for kind of being a big star, and it's because he kind of overplays his hand and kind of pretends just like in that scene of being something maybe more than he really is.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of funny about like I think how people think of themselves, because like nowadays, I don't know if it's a nowadays thing or like if you think about like people love the underdog story,
right?
And like that's kind of what his background was. He made it from nothing. He didn't have
Really?
to start on third base. He did it all himself. So like that is a great true story to tell. It was great to watch on the film. But like as a person, he's afraid to maybe reveal that to the world.
Yeah, well, and at that time, it's so much easier to lie about your background.
Oh yeah, there's no way
you can't do that
stuff.
now. On the internet, you can't lie about anything like that. Everybody's going to know exactly who you are in 10 seconds flat.
What your favorite joke was when you were 10 years old can be found if you tweeted it.
Yeah, but and I love those kind of montage sequences. Kind of like you said, set up Don Lockwood and Cosmo and their relationship, which I think is really important to this movie, because I think Donald O'Connor is also really phenomenal in this movie.
He is.
And you like, I don't even know if I would consider him a supporting actor in some ways, but I think he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this movie, so clearly they see him as that. But he just helps carry the movie so well, and the relationship is part of what sells that. Yeah,
I was worried at times that they were gonna like do what I always hate in movies, where like they kind of like rip these friends apart because like Cosmo was gonna get jealous or something, because it kind of definitely showed that Cosmo was not content with his life in the silent movie era, where obviously Don Lockwood really was.
Yeah.
And so I thought there's gonna come a rift in the friendship, and I was like, oh no, I like these guys as friends. Like they have just this dynamic like duo to them, where I'm like, I don't want to see the ripple and have 30 minutes of them fighting and then get back together. Just keep them together the whole time. I like it better this way.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it because, I think what the movie does is smart thing. Like as they, and we'll, I guess, get to it, but as they kind of transition to talkies, Cosmo finds the success he deserves.
Right. They both
and Don then has to, but Don struggles at first original as he has to figure it out.
Right. Yeah, no, but dignity. Always dignity. Like I love it. I love the way he delivers that whole thing.
I just love Gene Kelly's cadence in general. I just like really love the way he speaks, and like I know you said, seeing him in Inherit the Wind, which we covered very recently, seeing a different side of him. Of course, that's really the side I know of him best.
Right.
But there's that charmingness, but in Inherit the Wind, there's some bite to it.
Yeah.
Where in this movie, it's just joy. It's just good.
Fun. Yeah. No, I agree completely. And the other element of the backstory sequence is it also sets up Lena Lamont, which is obviously the other crux to this movie is his relationship with Lena Lamont
or lack thereof.
Exactly. And it's so brilliant how they they kind of hold off the reveal of her voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the way that they do it, it's so good. You're getting all the way to the movie like premiere itself, and she's trying to talk after, and
Right.
Dawn keeps jumping out in front of her and talking before
Yeah.
she can, and all of that.
At first, I thought Don was like a glory hound,
Oh,
or
right.
I was like, oh man, is he a bit of a jerk to her?
Right.
But no,
But no, it's just that
he's
her
saving
voice is
her.
awful. Right, exactly. He's actually being kind of the good guy there, because
Yeah.
you get like the girls in the theater, like, she's so refined.
Right.
I think I'll kill myself. It's like, but it's funny just how much like silent films in
Sure.
general people could hide behind that.
Yeah.
Which I think is which is totally a thing. The whole idea. So when he does meet Kathy and they have that argument about stage actors versus silent film actors, that was totally a real thing.
Oh yeah.
Like there were stage actors looked down on silent film actors, like as not really acting. It was more just pantomiming and like
Right. Yeah.
kind of that kind of vulgarness of it. So I think that played pretty well in that relationship, with early on, obviously, with him and Kathy. Not that lasted terribly long.
Right. No, I did think it was brilliant, and I really thought Jean Hagen, who
Yeah.
plays Lena,
Gina
I thought
Hagen.
she was like great in this like really kind of obnoxious-y role,
Yeah.
or clueless, and like kind of turns into a great villain in like the last 15 minutes, because I
Yeah.
really wouldn't say she was a villain throughout. She was just clueless, and
Yeah.
didn't really like realize how bad she was at talkies. Like she isn't gonna make it in them.
Yeah.
And so like, but to turn that just like cluelessness into just vitriol so well, I thought
Mhm.
was a great little like great use of writing, just great use of like a great use of a character to kind of fill some holes in the story and make everything work out at the end.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Yeah, I think she again is kind of an unsung hero
Yeah.
in this movie a bit, because she does play that role so well, and you can feel for her. You know what I mean? Like I
Early
don't think
on,
she's
yeah.
I don't like necessarily feel like she's entirely like reprehensible in that
No.
way, where you don't feel for her struggle, because yes, she is also she is annoying, and she is very full of herself. So when this phenomenon of the talkie comes, and everybody has to kind of figure out
Yeah.
what to do next, you got to feel for her, because it's like this is all she knows, and she's made such a
Right.
name for herself here, and that she's not really going to be able to transition.
No.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like,
she's
so
not built for it.
right,
It's like
exactly.
people are made for radio, people are made for podcasting, like me and
Right,
you.
definitely. We're definitely made for podcasting, no pictures.
Yeah.
But it's like,
No, that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like for the whole movie, she's almost a sympathetic figure.
Yeah.
She's someone who's gonna get left in the dust, and I really can't even blame her for thinking she's in a relationship with Doc. Like she's not mean-spirited about it. She's just like, the media has got to her. It's kind of tricked her. Like we know the media can have that influence on people.
Well, hell, the studios used to have that influence on people.
Sure.
I mean, studios used to put people together, all Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney. I mean, that was like totally a thing, where it was like, oh, these two are together. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like that, they planted that kind of stuff to
Right.
get people into the theaters to see these two together in
Right,
their
real
movies.
lovebirds. And, yeah.
Right. So I mean, that was really part of the PR strategy a lot. And I mean, not that it hasn't continued in some ways into modern times, but it's obviously not as big of a thing as it is now. Sometimes it happens to be that spouses or intimates end up being in the same movie together, and they
Yeah.
will kind of push that kind of thing. Like Tom Holland and Zendaya
Yeah.
in Spider-Man.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not that relationship isn't created and then they're like, oh, we're going to put them into Spider-Man together because they're a
Yeah.
thing. Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, that totally happened.
Right,
Like they're
right.
together, we're pushing them together, so they're going to be on screen together. Come see the Lovebirds in this movie.
Right.
Like that's a thing.
Yeah, but so because of that, like I really wasn't, I didn't have any kind of ill feelings as a viewer toward Lena, but that's why I felt so impressed with those last 15 minutes when she does go like evil witch,
Yeah.
and she's gonna sue and she's gonna ruin Kathy's life and all this stuff, and I'm like, I buy it,
Yeah.
but and I'm saying, and great use of creating a villain almost out of nowhere. It's perfect.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of out of necessity and circumstance.
Sure.
Because she does realize by that point that, once she sees the whole idea of Kathy being her voice, realizing she can't survive in the new world.
Right.
like this is how she's going to do it, and it just kind of made her into a villain.
Yeah.
A villain out of necessity, if you
Yeah,
will.
you can't ruin people's life because it fits your agenda.
Right. Well, and she needs to survive, so this is how she's going to do it. But so obviously, this, as we kind of been talking about, alluding to, this is a movie about a transition of ages, from silent film era. I should say a transition of eras, from silent film era to the talkie film era. And I think that this movie encapsulates that in a lot of really great ways. Some that we've already mentioned, and some that I just we haven't talked about that I think is really funny. When they go to the party and RF shows the movie, of showing off the guy talking.
There's somebody behind that screen.
Right. Well, I think the funniest element to me is how people are like, this is vulgar. Nobody's going to want this. It's just a fad. And I'm just like, in my mind, I mean, obviously being a modern person where, a silent movie wasn't something that I grew up with.
Right.
The idea that somebody would think that a talking picture wouldn't be successful going forward and is the future just seems hilarious to me.
Yeah. I mean, did they have the same thoughts about like color? Like nobody's going to want to watch this screen this bright. It'll burn your eyes out. Or, but I guess something's always kind of threatening Hollywood though.
It's
true.
What I mean?
Streaming now is going to kill the movies.
Yeah.
And it is kind of now, but it might find its legs.
Or it might, or at least changes the landscape. Yeah. And I think that is somewhat true, as far as the industry goes.
I mean, talkies definitely helped it for the better.
Absolutely. And, and you can make arguments that other things haven't, but it's always something.
Yeah.
Change is always going to happen. So, we talked about, Don Lockwood, kind of running into Kathy. I think they have like a really classic meet cute situation.
Classic jump into your car and act like you're going to abduct somebody.
Right. Well, I mean, to be fair, he didn't act like that. She just assumed he was a criminal because she knew his face but couldn't place him, so he had to be a criminal.
Everybody she knows must be criminals then. She's like, wait, if I know you, you must be a criminal.
Out with criminals.
Yeah.
But I think that scene's so fantastic because it kind of like, it changes the power dynamic in the scene multiple times.
Yeah.
Where she he jumps in her car, she thinks he's a criminal, tries to get him arrested. Then, like, once she realizes who he is, the power dynamic kind of switches back to him, and he's kind of in the seat, in the driver's seat where, she's not that she like is enamored with him, but you can tell that it's like, oh, okay, like whatever.
She's not as starstruck as he would like,
right? But then she kind of belittles him, which is also great for his weakness and need to a degree because he has kind of gotten too full of himself.
Yeah, and his ego is it can be damaged. It's not as strong as you would think.
Yeah, and this whole thing leads up to the party sequence where he sees her again and then she's gone and then it's like he has to find her. So in a situation like this, it's again one of those movies where they have to get the relationship locked in quickly.
Yeah.
Like for you as a viewer, how do you feel like this sequence kind of worked in that regard to get you to root for Don Lockwood and Kathy Selden right off the bat?
I loved it. I think like it's a great, like you said, it's a very cool little meet cute. How he is like, he's running away from these like pack of starving fans. So it's like literally he is being mobbed by people that are obsessed with him. So when he falls into this next car, it's not really a leap for him to assume that this girl's going to know him, that this girl's going to be obsessed with him because that's literally what he's running away from.
Yeah.
So it's cool that what he's running away from is he's literally like running away from it, like it's not like just metaphorically. No, he's literally running away from it. And then he falls into this car where it is what he's looking for. It's someone who isn't absolutely obsessed with him, a fan, secret fan,
which you find out later.
Yeah, but somebody that when she realizes it. But so I think that's like a great idea. He literally ran into what he was looking for. You didn't know he was looking for it necessarily, but we ran into it anyway. And then, you got to put that little bit of drama, or not drama, but just that little bit of like extra effort to make this thing work. Doc's got to find her because, they have that little tension between them, the little back and forth. And then when she pops out of the cake, which I thought was great, like that revelation of them seeing each other and stuff was really cool when she pops out of the cake and you see what she really does. Because, she made the argument about, her career, but then you see what her career really is, and I think that kind of defines a character too. Like when like what they tell the truth about, or what they lie about, that tells you a lot about somebody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and the seeds that it plants for Dawn's kind of insecurity,
Right.
going forward. And once the talking picture thing kind of comes about, she calls him, you're just a
Sure.
shadow on
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
And I think kind of what we were saying earlier, this dynamic of a stage actor versus a silent film actor at the time, and then having to make that transition. I think, that conversation goes a long way for Don's kind of restabilization, if you will, that he kind of has to go through this process to find his own confidence again.
Right.
So it's like he comes in with such confidence into that car, and then he leaves with just a little bit less.
Right.
And then when the talkie kind of comes and they're kind of going through all that sequence, it goes down a little bit more, and obviously eventually he finds her again, and it all kind of culminates in this sequence when they've watched the preview of the new talking picture, which is terrible. And then you kind of have that dinner sequence where he's just like ready to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
And Cosmo and Kathy are like, no, we can fix this. We can figure it out.
We're going to invent reshoots.
Right. It's like the lowest point of for him in the movie, I feel like, is in that sequence.
And I loved watching the talkie. Like the what was the name of the movie?
The Dueling Cavalier.
The Dueling Cavalier. Like watching the first version of that.
Yeah.
Just I like all the bad habits that you could see that people might have done in silent films, because there was no consequence to it. Like her playing with the jewelry, like basically fidgeting. Like you probably would never really notice that, or like wouldn't think it's a big deal, or but like they don't know how to capture the sound the right way yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're
like
trying to capture it all
microphones are
naturally. And like they're not, they haven't really thought of like basically talking like
well, then when it gets
overplaying
off, like when it gets off track,
right?
They're like no, yes.
Yeah, the wrong person. I was gonna say they did. It felt like a modern day. It felt like it's hard for me to explain, but to me, like it felt like a modern day parody of a silent film. Like it felt like a scene out of time to me. Like it didn't feel like I was watching an old movie. It felt like really high def. Maybe that's just the TVs nowadays and the transfer, but like, and it just felt like it was like all the jokes were like things you would want to make fun of about a silent film. I don't know. It's like you said, that was getting off track. The girls were talking. The girl's voice was coming out of the man. The man's voice was coming out of the girl. Like her playing with the jewelry. Like just really bad dialogue because I'd never really thought about it.
It sounded like a shotgun.
Right.
Dum.
It just was like great. It was like this is perfect. I know. I just really loved that scene.
Yeah. And like you said, it showed that the need, like, and the desperation to adapt. Which
because it showed how bad it was.
Right, exactly. And you have to think, you're right, that going through that process in real life, I'm sure those pitfalls happened for all of them.
Yeah.
And so I think they did a really good job of using comedy to sell like a serious moment.
Right. Yeah, because I think the movie kind of can speak to like, and everybody realizes this, but like change is hard. Like and scary, like when you have to do something different, like when you're pushed out of your comfort zone, like you usually don't respond positively right away. You're always like, this stinks, why me, how did everything go down the drain so quickly? And that's kind of where Don's at, what I mean? And then he just has to have his friends rally around, like, we can fix this, we can change, we can do this, and it doesn't matter how much confidence you project, like you still kind of need that reinforcement. So Don got it, and it worked for the better.
Yeah.
But, another thing I'll say too, and let me ask you about this, because it does kind of feel like the movie, I guess I have two opinions on this, but like it kind of feels like the movie slams on silent films a little bit. You know what I mean? Where it's like
maybe a little.
Like Kathy's kind of saying they're lowbrow, like the acting's terrible, and they don't really do much to rebuttal that. Except I kind of feel like when you do watch that, remember like when they're explaining the final scene they have to shoot, and then they kind of show it to you, and
after they're going to change it in the musical.
It's like in the modern era at the time. Like that scene, as it progresses, it feels like it turns back into a silent film. Like it's just more dancing and looking and stuff. And I kind of felt like, wait, is it kind of paying homage and like going back to like adapting the silent film too?
Yeah.
Is that just me, or?
I mean, I think for the most part, I would find it hard to believe that they were necessarily looking down at silent film. I think it was just more like a self-referential joke about the pitfalls of the transition. You know what I mean? Because I mean, silent film, even with those issues, are still held in pretty
Yeah,
high
'cause I
regard.
guess
You
Lena
know,
is
something like Nosferatu, like
Right.
we've done. I mean, that's obviously considered a masterpiece
Yeah.
by a lot of people.
And
things
Lena's
like
like not that she's a bad actor for the time. She's just a bad talkie actor, but she was a good silent film actress.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. But one thing I kept thinking, maybe this is kind of the first time I really thought about this, even though I've seen this movie so many times, is somebody needs to go back to the to silent films, and it'd be great, like taking a lip reader and like and like find it right and find out if they're actually saying the lines that they put on the screen, because there's some that they're not in this,
Right.
and they do such a great job, with
That's a
Don
great
and
scene,
Lena,
showing
where-
that
right.
tension
I don't like
between
her
them.
as half as much as I hate you.
Yeah.
So it's like
While they're looking like passionately into each
right,
other's eyes.
exactly, which I mean does take some talent. So
Absolutely.
gotta
It's
give
hard
them
to
that,
like
but
it's hard to say mean things when you're smiling.
yeah, exactly. So I think that that kind of stuff was really funny. But no, I don't think in any way that it was looking down
Yeah.
at silent film. I think it was just finding the comedy in it.
One thing that I really love about this movie too. Oh, I keep saying I love things about this movie, which is not really good for the overall thing.
Right,
Sorry,
sure.
but that's not my fault. But is like the movement. Like I
Oh
think
my God,
Cosmo's
yes.
like the best example. Gene Kelly is like equally good, but
Fucking monster.
even when we kind of were mentioning the meet cute between Don and Kathy, like his whole movement of just like how he would get onto the truck and like almost like dance his way into Kathy's car as he falls into it.
Yeah.
And Cosmo just being able to just like break out and like run up a wall and
Yeah.
just kind of like move, or his body's moving but his feet aren't, or vice versa, or just this fluidity, like everything's a dance but it's not really dancing at that time. It's just, I don't know, it's like, to me it just felt like I just wrote like lost art. Like I don't know, like it's just something you don't see nowadays as much. Like it's its own thing. It's like its own capsule in time, and it's really like, because you don't see it very often, it's like magnetic to watch.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think you want to know the funniest thing is
I
I think
like funniest
that
things.
the closest thing I think to somebody like Donald O'Connor from this time, this kind of triple threat kind of character, singer,
Mhm.
dancer, actor, that kind of thing, are like Disney kids. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Because they're kind of
yeah.
trained to have to do that too. Like all the kids that were in like High School Music, like Zac Efron and
Right,
stuff like that.
right.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like because they are required to be able to do everything.
Right.
And I'm not saying they're all great actors or anything by any stretch, because I mean there is some obviously just a discussion to be had. I'll be polite in that regard, and for some of those
Time
kids.
and place, but not now.
Right, but it was more common, here in the early 50s,
Sure.
from the 40s into the 50s, being able to sing, being able to dance, being able to act, having that kind of versatility. Now, granted, even at the time, though, there's not everybody could do it and do it to the same degree.
Right.
But there are those masters of the time, and I think Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor, Danny Kaye, Bing Crosby,
Sure, yeah.
I mean, all these guys, are absolute giants of the time because they had that kind of ability.
Yeah.
And you're right; it's not something we necessarily see very often.
No, it just feels like its own. It just felt like its own thing, and I was like, I don't know. I love seeing Cosmo on screen, like that make him laugh number. That's pretty much
so
his
good.
is really good. I'm like, is he gonna outshine Gene Kelly in this movie for me? Is that possible? And then of course the Singing in the Rain scene
Of
takes
course.
place. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
he's not
no,
gonna
he's
outshine
back.
Gene Kelly.
Yeah, but they have a great rapport, as we
They
said
do.
early on, and I think when they do the diction lessons and stuff like that,
Yeah.
when Lena does hers and then Don and Cosmo are in theirs, and they that whole sequence where everything kind of turns into a dance number, like they play off of each other so well,
Right.
and I mentioned Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye in like White Christmas. I feel like they have a very similar chemistry that Gene Kelly
Mhm.
and Donald O'Connor have in this movie. I mean, some of the sequences are even very similar, like kind of the vaudeville stuff, because they
Right.
kind of have a similar kind of trajectory in some regards within that movie and then them in this movie. But you really can't discount the side man. You know
No,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
And I think that they play off of each other so well throughout
Yeah.
this movie.
And I love that they do, like I said, I love the choices they did with Cosmo, where they do kind of give him the arc where, like, he actually excels at talkies. Like, he was kind of this was what he's been waiting for in his career.
Yeah.
He didn't know it, but he needed it, and where Don was the one who had to struggle there for a second. So I love that Cosmo like does get his own little arc and like is able to find the success that he kind of deserves, because he's in some ways, like at least the way the movie's portrayed, as equally talented as Don. He just never got the break.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And maybe it's because he is more of the comedic actor,
Yeah,
which is
a
what Make
goofier.
Him Laugh is really all about.
Right.
Is like, if you're going to be an actor, be a comedian.
Right.
And like, while Don Lockwood in this movie, it is a comedy to a
Right.
degree. Like, Don Lockwood in this movie is not a comedic actor. Like,
No.
he's a dramatic actor.
Right.
That's why, he's doing the dueling cavalier
Yeah.
and, all of that kind of stuff. So
Cosmo would have been a great Charlie Chaplin type actor.
Right, 100%, absolutely. And and the great thing is that now that talkies are coming around, Cosmo may get that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
In the future, past with the
Yeah.
end of this movie.
But even now, it looks like he can be a great director, a great writer. Like he's head
Sure.
of the music department. He's great with sound, and I think he wrote most of the songs in the rewrite for the Dancing Cavalier, like in the movie. So like he's gonna have a big career. He's gonna get credit, instead of just being the guy that's just playing the mood music.
Yeah.
So
Well, and we've danced around it a bit, talking about it in different scenes. But I have to say, I love Singing in the Rain. I love Make 'Em Laugh. But I don't know why. I feel like maybe my favorite musical number, if I have to, might be Good Morning. Because I
Yeah.
really love that sequence. I love
Yeah.
the way that Cosmo, Kathy, and Don all kind of play off of each other in this scene, and it's such a great scene because it's all about helping your friend figure out how to pick him up off the ground.
right.
You know what I mean? And I think that there's such a lightness to this song, and it feels great. Like, I get goosebumps watching it. It just feels, again, joy on film. I know I've said that before, but I feel like that's what this is.
Yeah, it's a really good, like like we said, that song literally follows their lowest point, or Don's
Right.
lowest point. So to kind of see like such a song filled with positivity, like as they're kind of like finding hope again out of that moment, is really good, really cool. It's a great song for that moment.
Yeah. Well, and then it's the crux of the movie, which they're going to turn the Dueling Cavalier into a musical, which
Yeah.
obviously is what's going to save the movie,
Yeah.
save Don. Kind of be the next phase of his career.
Yeah.
Being a song and dance man on the screen, and so you leave it feeling really high up, high on this possibility until you realize, oh, Lena, just such a great way to end
Yeah.
it, because they're picking you up, and then it's just, oh, Lena.
Yeah.
But leave it to Cosmo to figure it out.
Yeah, we can Milli Vanilli her.
right.
Which I wonder how it made me think, like, how long did it take him to realize that in real life? Like,
Sure.
were they doing that a
Sure.
lot at first?
Sure.
It seemed like a practical idea.
Yeah.
So I will say, I think my favorite number are the classics. I think, or what people would say the classics. But I really, really enjoyed I think the very first number, like when they were playing the fiddles with each other, like as they were kind of going through the story. Like, I don't know. Again, maybe it was the movement was hypnotic to me, but they did so many different like dance styles within one song, and all the little tricks with the fiddles, and they're like in perfect unison with each other. I'm like, this is hard. This is really hard. Like stuff that like they're like yo-yoing the fiddles. I'm like, this isn't like CGI. Like they're actually having to do this. Like,
Yeah. It's Fit as a Fiddle. That's
Fit as
that
a Fiddle,
song,
yeah.
Fit as a Fiddle and
That
Ready
was-
for Love.
That was just like, that was great. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And again, all that stuff is so much harder back then to get accomplished
Yeah.
than it is now.
Yeah.
So just have so much more respect for it.
Well, and the choreography. I mean, really,
Oh
for
my
the whole
gosh.
movie, that's the whole thing.
So
And
creative.
you bring it down to Gene Kelly. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a genius. He
Yeah.
was a giant of what he did. And yeah, I think that, whether it's this, whether it's An American in Paris, Brigadoon, I mean, On the Town, I mean, you can name all of these different Gene Kelly movies that he's in, which, it's just, he is the top of the pantheon.
Yeah.
When it comes, I think to this day, he's still the top of the pantheon. And you're right. I mean, it's so fluid. It moves so well. It's kinetic in a way that draws your eye, and you can't look away.
Right.
And it's great because it kind of starts in those small musical numbers, but you mentioned it earlier. When it goes to Broadway Melody, you have this big modern number with these
Right.
big set designs, which I just, he does this in multiple of his movies, and it's just, they're so good.
Yeah. Like I said, you're almost like scared to turn your head because you're going to miss some like really intricate dance move or something, like, I don't know. It's it's just something we don't get a ton of anymore. Like I've only recently really started to like musicals and stuff,
Sure.
and like if you think of like the Lin-Manuel Miranda stuff, like
Mhm.
like they had great dance numbers there, but it's just those are Broadway,
Yeah, they're
shows.
Broadway shows.
But
yeah.
they're people just kind of dancing in a group, and they're doing a good dance move, but it's kind of basic, it's just like it's
Some of it.
sliding. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like that. Like I don't know. Just this seemed so much more like aerobic, and like
Right.
there's like stunts almost built
That's
into
Gene
it.
Kelly. I will say that's Gene Kelly.
So it's different. It's just different. Like I said, these kind of things feel like a moment in time that we just don't have anymore. It just
Yeah.
feels different to me. I don't have a great way to explain it.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think that there is some truth to that. And some of it's the kind of the way that it's blocked in set design and stuff like that, because since so much of this takes place on a set,
Right.
like on a real like movie set,
Yeah.
it feels, I don't want to say like a diorama, but it kind of does at the same time because of those old Hollywood set designs. Whereas something that's more modern, it feels like it's in the real world.
Mhm.
And sometimes I do think that can take away from certain things. Even if you look at something
Sure.
like West Side Story, which does kind of a good job of kind of mixing sets with like on the street, but it's more like backlot stuff. I still feel like it has that older Hollywood musical feel to it with that kind of kinetic dance energy. Where, yeah,
Yeah.
long story short, I see what you're saying, and I think that there are some reasons why you feel that way. But since we're kind of on the subject of dancing, so obviously with the big, we talked about Broadway Melody. What was the biggest thing you noticed about that dance sequence outside of just like the grandiose nature of it, the dance sequence itself being so intricate? What did you notice about it?
I mean, I think the thing that's coming to my brain is like all the artwork and the doors and stuff. Like it made it
Sure.
look like neon. And,
Sure. How about the fact that Kathy's not in it? And
She's
like,
not?
no, she's not.
Oh.
Like they replaced her with Sid Charisse, because Debbie Reynolds is not a dancer.
Oh, really?
She was a gymnast. So,
Okay.
and in fact, Gene Kelly was really kind of mean to her, actually, because she was not a dancer.
She was a terrible dancer.
Not a terrible dancer.
'Cause
She
I'm
was
like,
just
she-
more of like, her dance sequence, if you pay attention, are a little more simple.
Okay.
Because she was a gymnast coming
Yeah.
into this movie. She was not a dancer, so they kind of had to teach her somewhat how to.
Because I know she dances when she comes out of the cake, and she's like dancing in that
right.
scene.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
that's
It is a
kinda
little- yeah, it's-
simple.
yeah,
it's
it's-
more
yeah.
simple. And then even in Good Morning, it's more of like kind of a walking kind of thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So I guess Gene Kelly was actually kind of mean to her because she wasn't actually a dancer,
It's-
and he was notoriously hard to work with. In
Oh,
that
I don't
regard.
believe that for a second.
He pushed people hard when it
Really?
came to dancing, as you could
It's probably something that
imagine.
just comes so natural to him, and he doesn't get why people.
Well, and
can't
he was a
do it.
workhorse. Like
Yeah.
he would work and work and work and work. But I guess it actually caused a lot of friction on set. And I guess later he actually admitted that he was frankly surprised she still spoke to him
Really?
after how bad he was
Yeah.
to her on that set. But I guess Fred Astaire helped her kind of get through this movie.
Well,
I guess.
I mean, really, if you're gonna have people cheat you to dance, not a bad list of people to do it.
Well, yeah, no, and it is true, but it always
Obviously,
struck
there's a way to
me
do it,
funny,
yeah.
right? That she wasn't in this movie. She's the female lead of this movie,
Right.
But she's not in this dance sequence at all. They bring in and not that Gene Hagen was in it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So they brought
yeah.
somebody completely different. They brought in Sid Charisse, who was, I mean, a phenomenal dancer. So it's just this whole other thing. But so that kind of leads me to a couple other fun, because you like your factoids.
Oh, I love.
I know your
facts.
factoids.
I love trivia.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm more lean to like what does a movie mean to you and that kind
Sure.
of thing. But I think there's some really funny stuff in this movie specifically. So obviously this is a movie, as we know, about silent film movies going away, and
Mhm.
and then this whole thing about Lena having to dub her lines. You
Yeah.
know, Kathy Selden having to dub her lines. Just so you know, in that song "Would You," that's not Debbie Reynolds.
What?
Debbie Reynolds was dubbed in that, so
Oh.
she did not sing "Would You."
Oh my gosh! So that they're dubbing the dubber.
Yeah,
Oh my god! A double dub.
a double dub. In fact, there were two songs that she did not sing, and it was "Would You" and "You Are My Lucky Star." A lady
Really?
named Betty Noyes was the singing voice. So
They used-
Kathy Selden did not sing those songs in the movie.
So there was 3 different voices. There was her voice,
Yeah.
and then 2 different singers.
Yeah. So, another funny.
That's weird. Why
Yeah.
didn't they use the same girl to dub her?
Like as far as like
Did you
all
say
the songs?
Yeah,
I mean, she could sing "Good Morning," fine.
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly.
Like I think it was more. Even though some of her.
but she had 2 different singers. You just said, right? Like 2 different girls.
Well, no,
dubbed
one
her.
girl. No. Betty Noyes did both
both.
songs.
Oh, my
did
bad,
both
my bad,
songs.
my
Yeah,
bad.
she did both songs. But yeah, I guess her tap. She didn't really tap in any of the tap sequences. They were all dub taps, like because she couldn't tap dance.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and then I think some of her high notes were
Okay.
also dubbed. Another really
That's
funny
so funny because that's what the movie's about. You think they would have somebody that?
Oh,
they
I
think could do-
know.
I know why they picked Debbie Reynolds though.
I absolutely know
yeah.
why. Absolutely, because we don't have a question. We normally have a question, but the only question I could come up with is Debbie Reynolds cute as a button
Yes,
in this movie?
she's the perfect like
Short answer is
anti-Lena.
yes.
Long answers, hell yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's the perfect like opposite of Lena of Gene Hagen. So
Speaking of Gene Hagen, another
Oh,
funny
boy.
thing. So there's that sequence.
that's not
when
her
she's
real
going to-
voice. She's got to be doing like a perfect accent of like a fake accent.
So when Kathy Selden is dubbing the lines in that one scene when she's like when they're acting out, they're not singing but actually
Right.
like doing the lines, that is actually Gene Hagen's real voice. So Gene Hagen, yes, is faking her voice for the entire as Lena Lamont.
Wow.
But that scene when in the dubbing studio when Kathy is dubbing her dialogue in the movie, that's
She's
actually
just
Gene
using her
Hagen's real voice.
That's funny. Man, does Debbie Reynolds have any lines in this movie?
She does, but I thought that stuff was so
That's
funny,
crazy.
and I just again for being
But it's
a movie
actually
about
kind of
dubbing,
it's kind of brilliant to do that, to like
Yeah.
be dubbing in a movie that's about dubbing. It's kind of really smart.
yeah, no, I completely agree, but it's just again, it's those little factoid things that are really funny. Zelda, you remember the girl Zelda who ratted out that they were
Yes.
dubbing her voice? That's actually Rita Moreno from West Side Story fame
Oh, yeah.
and like all of that. So that's Rita Moreno.
Yeah.
Even though she's only in it a little bit, so that's kind of fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I watched a doc on her a couple years ago.
Oh really?
I did.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
It was called Rita Moreno.
It's just what it's called.
I think so.
Just
That's all I
Rita
remember about
Moreno. I think you're just making that up. But so but as far as the movie goes, we're kind of at that point now where, like you said, there's this really great turn with
Yeah.
Lena where she becomes the villain, like truly becomes the villain, and I think those scenes are really great for her.
They
Like
are.
when she comes in and like kind of strong arms RF about kind of continuing to have Kathy be her voice. Like I think that's one of the best scenes in the movie because you could just see that again, that power dynamic between Lena and RF, and especially for at that time, where women were seen kind of as second class,
Mhm.
and having her kind of strong arm him. In kind of a comedic way, but I mean, you don't like her obviously because
No,
you're rooting
she's
for
being a
Kathy at that
jerk,
point.
yeah.
But it's such a great scene
Well,
for
yeah.
her.
Well, it's because she's going to be terrible, but she never in the scene where Don realized how bad the movie was and how much people hated it and this was going to ruin their career. She didn't get it.
Yeah.
She thought it was good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that she's oblivious to how terrible she is.
Yeah.
Actually at this for so long, and that kind of can seem like, well, they're tricking her and they're dubbing over her, and it can seem like maybe that's mean to her, but like they know how bad this is going to be for her. Like
Right.
her being her real self will ruin her.
Yeah.
They're trying to save her from herself, and
Yeah.
she won't let them, which is such a common trait in bad people.
It's true, but also, but then when she realizes, oh, I do need this, it's like, oh, I'm going to ruin Kathy's career to
right.
ensure that my career continues. And as we said earlier, like you can kind of understand the fear in that, where you do have that kind of power and, it's so suddenly going away because, this new technology has come out of
Right.
nowhere. And, I think that's a common thing that we're seeing today, obviously not just in film, but in all kinds of things, with the rise of AI and things like that. So you can kind of feel for her in that moment and the desperation that she probably feels. Obviously, she still is the villain, and
She-
you
yeah,
don't.
She can do other things. She can be
Right.
a hand model. She can do
She
she
can
can
be
do
a
foot
hand
things.
model.
She's got other things she can do.
She's going to be on WikiFeet in
Yeah.
a week. But yeah, like I said, I think it's easy. It could be really easy to kind of like shove Lena Lamont to the side as
Yeah.
just kind of like a villain, like villain, yes, but comic relief and kind of maybe
Yeah,
just a joke.
yeah.
But I do think Jean Hagen really kind of knocked this performance out
She
of the
did.
park.
She did. I thought she was super fun, and that's why I think if all she would have just been comic relief if they don't make her the villain at the end of this movie.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
That's
And I
100% true. I agree with that.
I think it really
100%.
helps her character overall. Just be like, oh, you're you're the villain of this movie, and it sets up the ending so well because the ending is brilliantly harsh to her, like
Right.
like setting her up to get caught. And it's funny how it's like she's all in on it. Like,
Yeah.
she wants this, and
Yeah.
she's like, they're asking what song she's gonna sing, and she has no idea, so she's got to
Right.
lean back like, what song am I gonna sing? And like,
Right.
what note am I gonna sing? Yeah, what note am I gonna sing it in?
Right.
Yeah, and so it's and then you know they're gonna lift the curtain on her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You just
Oh,
know
yeah.
it's gonna happen. And then when
Yeah.
they do, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a great little ending. It's like the villain got their comeuppance, and I didn't even know she was a villain until like 10 minutes ago. But it works perfectly.
Yeah, no, I agree because you would think going into a movie like this, is the villain time,
Right,
and
sure.
just in progress, or is it Lena? And it is kind of both in the
Yeah.
end. I think in the end, Lena is the bigger
Yeah.
villain than just progress because everybody else is going to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I think everybody else is going to be able to adapt. So I think in the end, if you had asked, if that was our question, if
Right.
who is the bigger villain, Progress or Lena? I think in the end of the movie, I think you could honestly say Lena. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's Lena. I think progress is the challenge and the hurdle, and they can that they have to overcome, and they do.
Yeah.
Which is the fun part of the movie. But Lena is just that thorn in your side. She's what makes everything difficult. Like doing the reshoots for the movie would be so much easier if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think she's the villain.
Well, we get the Hollywood ending at this, but now we have to do the Car Ray Rob ending, which may or may not be
Yes.
the Hollywood ending. Sometimes it's a happy ending, sometimes it's a sad ending.
Right.
But we're going to find out what that is right now because, Ray, it is time to ask the big question of the podcast, why we are here. And, I have had a couple of months of a dry spell. I've been pushing you,
Yeah.
pushing.
That's your job.
And it is my job, and that was my whole thing. And this is my birthday month where I
know.
normally push you the hardest.
Happy birthday, Rob.
Right, thank you. But this is not that way. This is something that I would hope would be completely different. So now to open my present to you, I have to know, Ray, did you like Singin' in the Rain, and would you recommend it?
Well, my present back to you, as I've spoiled multiple times already, is I did love this movie. You knew I would.
I would say there was no way you could not like this movie. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
One great thing about this podcast and the trip we've been on is you have forced me to watch some of the classic movies that I've just never got around to, and they've been excellent. They've been really excellent. And so, you also Donald O'Connor. Rob, he's from the movie Toys, probably our most underrated favorite Robin Williams movie.
That's true.
He is the dad who dies at the very beginning.
Kenneth Zevo?
Yes, Kenneth Zevo. He's got this
Holy
little
crap! I don't know if I've ever put that together.
Donald O'Connor. I had to look it up because I just have trivia
yeah,
guy. I have to.
yeah.
I'm like, where have I seen this man before? And so it's like that was
Holy
like a
crap.
special little gift in this. I'm
That
like,
is. I didn't even mean to give
perfect
you that.
actor if you think about like what he had to do in Toys, like
Right? Where
spin the
spin
propeller
the-
to make his
get
heart beat.
beat and go away.
If you're gonna have a guy make a funny face and a funny movement, use Donald O'Connor because Cosmo. That is Cosmo in this movie. Just super fun just to watch, and and when you pair that up with Gene Kelly, who I'm just rounding out my knowledge base now in Gene Kelly,
Yeah.
and becoming a bigger and bigger
Your journey's
fan.
just starting. I told you earlier. There is a laundry list of movies. It is a foot race between Singin' in the Rain and American in Paris
Yeah.
for my favorite.
That's
but I went
next.
here because it's most the most iconic. But you got to watch American in Paris.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
That's next, I think. But to put the bun on this movie, just like you can tell why it's an all-time classic. Like
Yeah.
some movies are just like, okay, yeah, I get why everybody likes this, why this
Yeah.
is just held in the regard it is, and this movie does in spade. And I think you described it really well, where it's like there's just a tone to the movie, like the joy, the
Mhm.
happiness. It's just fun to watch. It's like you know what? If you don't want to pick up your phone for 2 hours, like put this movie on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're not going to be wanting to scroll. You're not going to want to you're not going to want to just listen to it. You're going to want to watch it. You're going to want to live in it.
Yeah.
It's just a fun movie. It does everything it does it to the highest level.
Yeah.
And it's just really really good. The dancing is phenomenal. It's darn near perfect.
Yeah.
And the cast has great chemistry, and there's some, like I said earlier, scenes that I feel like modern day parody, like when they're making fun of Gene Kelly's original attempt at a talkie. Like it's just brilliant. Like it's really smart. And it's timeless. It's really timeless, and it's fun, and it also feels like I've said many times throughout this conversation, like there's things that feel lost, like the lost art about it. I feel like Gene Kelly's a lost art. I feel like Cosmo does for a lot of his movies a lost art. It's some you don't get to see a lot, so go see it if you haven't. Don't be like me and wait this long.
Yeah, just again, Hollywood musicals from this era are not to be missed. There's a laundry list of good ones. I'm glad I could, kind of get you on your journey with Singing in the Rain, but it's going to be a fun ride from now on.
No doubt about it.
All right, Ray. Well, I am not shocked that you loved Singing
You're
in the Rain.
gloating now.
I am going to
picked
gloat.
a good one.
I am going to gloat a little bit because this has been 2 months coming now, so I'm glad that I finally was able to recommend something that you love. But now I feel like you owe me a little something.
Okay.
To be honest, even though you have been recommending a lot of great movies. What have you been watching, Ray, and what should I be checking out?
Well, I watched Welcome to Wrexham season 5, which is a show I think I've talked about every year that we've been doing this podcast because
I'm sick of hearing of it.
I love it. They just do such a great job of not just talking to you about this soccer team that's playing in Wrexham and how Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. I was going to get there, but how they're investing into this team and really how it's investing into their lives. I think way more than they ever anticipated.
Sure.
But I just really love how they show the ripples of how this affects the whole town so well. There are characters, they're not characters, they're real life human beings, but
they're real
there's
people
that
Ray.
live in this town that I feel like I know their business. I know where their business is located and how it's doing and how the success of the soccer team truly has impacted. It's not like, like an NFL team in a city here, because these teams are so localized in England with, in these small soccer clubs, these small towns having a professional team. It affects the community, the economics greatly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would imagine
greatly.
so.
So it's really cool to see those ripples and how they have to build infrastructure to the city now to keep up with stuff. And it's just
Right.
it's really interesting. They do a great job with the show. So much heart. They introduce you to these kids too, some have disabilities, some are fighting cancer, and just like how this team is the most important thing to these kids, and
Sure.
how they feedback. It's great. It just makes you feel good about humanity when I watch this show. So I'm like, is this a fictional show or nonfiction? I don't know. But then I watched and finished up Hacks. I think I've talked about Hacks every year when we've done this podcast.
I'm one season through, but I gotta now that it's
And
done.
you liked it.
I did, and it's done now, right?
It's
so
done.
Now I
It's
gotta
done.
go.
Season 5
I
is-
just gotta blitz it now.
It's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite shows I've watched the last few years. Like Shrinking and Hacks are probably right up there with, I think, some of the most successful shows that I've seen recently. The show always stays funny. It's pertinent in what they're doing, and it never feels like that they repeated the character's arc. Like let's do one more season. I don't feel like this season stayed on, or this show did one season too many, or
That's good.
anything like that. Like they kept it fresh. They always this. The series revolves around the two leads, and they always kept their relationship with each other fresh through every season. Whether they were at each other's throats on the same side, kind of close, they always put them in a new situation, a slightly different situation every season that made their dynamic, challenged their dynamic. And
That's
it's
cool.
great.
That's cool.
It's really, really great. I think the ending is great. It's really interesting. I loved it. I really love Hacks. They did an amazing job with this show. People should check it out. It's 5 seasons worth of great TV. That's what I've been watching, Rob. But what about you?
So I've got a few movies that I've watched lately that I'm going to share. The first one I watched is I guess it was released this year, 2026, They Will Kill You.
Who will?
They will.
I knew they would.
So eventually they will. But it stars Zazie Beetz, Tom Felton from Harry Potter fame,
Ooh.
and Heather Graham, and Patricia Arquette. And it's an interesting movie. Zazie Beetz plays like an ex-con who goes to work at this kind of New York City high-rise where people have just been mysteriously disappearing. And it's got a very kind of interesting kind of John Wick, Tarantino vibe to it, which I could see people kind of watching and be like, this is just kind of feels like I've seen this before.
Sure.
But I think that there's some interesting elements to the movie, some supernatural elements to the movie that I think kind of make it its own thing. And I think Zazie Beetz is I've always liked Zazie Beetz. Like I really liked her in Deadpool 2 and stuff like that. I think I like seeing her in stuff. So I think that that's something that I never watched Atlanta. I know she was in Atlanta, and it's a show I've always kind of wanted to go back and watch. But I know she was in that, and and obviously seeing Heather Graham in anything these days is great. And Patricia Arquette is phenomenal. Like I think she's a phenomenal actress. Always has been, and as she's aged, she has just gotten better and better.
The stuff she does is better and better.
Absolutely. The other thing that I've watched, which some people have called this kind of a return to form for Pixar, and that is Hoppers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Hoppers is on Disney Plus now. So I watched that with Mr. Kitty Kaiju, actually. And that was a fun movie. It's kind of an interesting idea, kind of like an environmentalist bent to it. And, kind of, some people even talk about there's a little bit of a socialist bent to it, in all honesty,
Really?
because it's kind of about a girl who inhabits this new technology which lets her act as a beaver and like goes and infiltrates like the local animal wildlife community. She's able to understand them, interact with them, and kind of she's trying to get them to move back to a certain spot so that the city doesn't build a bypass through it.
Okay.
But there's some interesting stuff to this movie that I think is really great, and it feels a bit like classic Pixar.
I have not been able to say that in a while.
Yeah, I agree. So maybe that's why people have been kind of said that. But I think it's a fun movie. You should definitely check it out. The other thing that I watched is, Glenn Powell is everywhere.
He's on fire.
He is everywhere, and in this too, which was How to Make a Killing, which was a kind of a dark comedy that came out this year, where he plays an heir to a massive fortune, but his mom was kind of, I guess, excommunicated from the family because of his birth, so he grew up poor, and he was trying to kind of make it through life, and he realizes that he is. Because of the way that the patriarch of this family wrote his will, he is still in line for like the massive inheritance, despite his mom being excommunicated. But he has to kill everybody ahead of him, aunts, uncles, cousins, like all of that.
So he's still on the list.
Right, he's still on the list. So it's kind of about him doing that, where he is like trying to, kind of get this money. But there's a lot of interesting stuff about capitalism in it, and a lot of interesting stuff about like what really makes you happy and what makes family and all this kind of stuff, and like what are you willing to give up for, that kind of a life. And I really do like Glenn Powell.
I do too.
I think it could be easy to kind of toss him aside as kind of just like a pretty face, but I think he's done some really great stuff recently. I was a big fan of Hitman.
That's probably the best thing he's done, in my opinion, and I'm saying that as like I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, 100%. I really enjoyed him in the new Running Man.
I haven't seen that yet.
You should check it out. Like it's Edgar Wright, so it's
Yeah.
definitely got that going for it. But I think Glenn Powell actually does a really good job in it as well. And even Twisters, which was like
Yeah, I
kind
like
of like
Twisters.
a fun
Yeah.
like sequel kind of thing. Maybe not
Wasn't
necessarily
bad.
necessary, but
Yeah.
he was fine in it. So I think that's
Necessary?
great. Necessary. But yeah, that is it. Those are the three movies that I think you should definitely check out.
All right, Rob. Well, thank you for gifting me Singing in the Rain on your birthday month.
Yep.
I really appreciate it.
It's very generous of me,
I know.
isn't it?
And I haven't gotten you anything for your birthday.
What else is new? What else is new? I'm just kidding.
Anyway, we are done with this conversation. It was a great conversation, but the audience is not done. And I don't really have a pun, and that's okay. You can dub a pun in
you
later.
gotta dance your way
gotta
to...
hit the like button.
There you go. We found one. We did it.
I was just gonna have you dub one in. Whatever. We'll keep it. It'll work. But
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some just voice. It has to be a female voice at this point. But anyway, just like the podcast, people. That's what we're getting at. Long story short, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, review the podcast. If you leave us a 5-star review, we're gonna read it live on air someday. Don't forget, you guys can email me and Rob at carrayrob@gmail.com. or reach out to us on Blue Sky at Car Ray Rob.
Absolutely. You can now also find us on Facebook and Instagram. By all means, go over there and give us a like. We are doing a lot of fun things on both of those platforms. If there is a comment section on whatever platform you are listening to us on, by all means, let us know what you thought of Singing in the Rain. Tell us how great it is, because there's really no other answer.
And what should I watch
it's
next
great.
if I'm going to do some Gene Kelly stuff?
Well, absolutely. And what is your favorite Gene Kelly movie? That's what it is. List your favorite Gene Kelly movie so Ray
I will
knows
use that
which one to
information.
go next.
Yes.
Exactly. We will be back next week with this month's A Copy of a Copy, where we are going to be reviewing the classic 1984
Sure.
Dune.
We're going to watch that one.
And
But
then the new Dune Part 1 and Part 2 for A Copy of a Copy.
Which I love.
We are big fans of Dune the books, big fans of the new movie. It's been a minute since I've watched David Lynch's.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to rewatching.
I don't think
there
I'm gonna
is things
hate it,
because there are definitely things about the movie that I do really like.
Yeah.
And I look forward to talking about that then. We will be back in 2 weeks with Ray's episode of Say Hello to My Little Film, where he is going to gift me with something great. Right?
I don't know about that.
I mean,
I've been on such a hot streak.
That's true.
I don't feel like I can live up to it.
No, you don't think
it's
so?
going to happen.
You're going to bring me something I'm going to hate?
I'm going to like
That
it.
might be a great birthday present, too.
It would be fitting.
It would be fitting.
So,
yeah.
But we'll see. I'm going to let you decide that.
Okay, fair enough. Then we will be rounding out the month of July with a brand new Hello Movies, My Old Friend, where Ray and I are going to be revisiting the MTV movie classic Joe's Apartment.
You are using the word classic very lightly, but hopefully accurately. We'll find out.
Yeah, it's classic because it's old. Well,
Yes,
how about
okay.
that? How about
Sure.
when we do that? We'll just say that. Maybe it's a classic in other ways, but right now it's a classic because it's
The
old.
classic Civil War.
But we're going to hopefully see how
It's pretty
well it
old war.
holds up. That's true. But you are not going to want to miss it. But until then, this is Car Ray Rob.
Where I'm Ray.
And I'm Rob. And remember, be defined by the films you love, not the ones you hate.
Hey there, it'll be just a little while till Ray and Rob spit their spittle. Come on, check out of the hospital. So grab some of your best peanut brittle. This will be a darn good transmittal. And say hello to my little film.
All right, everybody. Ray here. I want to give you guys a little stinger. What I'm going to present to Rob in 2 weeks. The movie that I love that he's never seen is The Wind That Shakes the Barley from 2006, starring Cillian Murphy, who is absolutely amazing. Padraig Delaney, Liam Cunningham, they're all great in this movie. It's a great movie about, takes place in 1920. It's about the struggle of Ireland during its independence. It's a great, like, kind of Revolutionary War movie that kind of turns into a Civil War movie. Explores a lot of relationships that I think Rob is really going to enjoy, or at least I hope so. So if you guys haven't checked out The Wind That Shakes the Barley, take some time these next few weeks to do that, and then we'll check in with you in 2 weeks.